Hey everyone, my name is Disa Cameron. I'm from Ottawa in Canada. I'm an account manager with a company we are fondly calling ourselves One Canada, which is comprised of FMAV, PSAV, and Encore, so the group of companies. I've been with the company since about 2005. I started out as a freelance technician and then I kind of moved my way up the ladder. And now I'm an account manager, which is consisting mostly of sales, but I do a little bit of the operation side and a lot of hand holding with my clients and really helping them make this transition to virtual and to hybrid. The reason why I am excited to be on this panel tonight and spending time with you is I really feel like there's a huge shift going on in our industry right now. And I think it's really important that we all come together, whether we're competitors or not, from different countries or not. I think it's really important that we all come together, collaborate, share our knowledge, and really try and unify and bring this industry back to where it was at and be even stronger and be even better. So thank you so much. Look forward to tonight's show and thank you.
Hi, my name is Ina Field and I'm from Bronx, New York. My work in AV includes mainly theatrical design and production. I have done some corporate production and AV work as well, but my main experience has been in the theater realm, which is interesting in our current age and time. I started in AV. Originally, I went to school for theater design, specifically scene design, and I ended up really enjoying lighting and sound design. And through that, I went into the production realm because I wanted to learn as much as possible about both. So I guess the best way you could say is I tripped into it. I'm on the show because I enjoy talking with other people with a lot of experience. I, up to a certain point, had been watching the seminars and trying to learn as much as possible on my own. But I like the interactivity that this program offers. And it's something that I really enjoy, and I hope more people have enjoyed it in that way as well. So thank you for watching and goodbye.
Hi, my name is Iris. Currently, I am part of the in-house staff at the Omni Champions Gate outside Orlando, Florida. I've done a bit of everything from theater to radio, television, live events. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in theater, and my first job was in radio, so you never know where you're going to end up in this. I'm part of this community because I believe in education, and during this time, I believe everyone can improve their knowledge to get more gigs and do more things and just be more flexible in the new whatever it is we're going into. But I appreciate you're here. I hope you learned something and have fun watch the show.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of AV Educates AV Tech Talks. I want to thank you for being here so much with us on the AV Tech Talks panel and on Facebook and everywhere else that you're watching us. So let's go into some of these house rules. We go live to Facebook every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can get notifications by when we go live by following the AV Educate page on Facebook, and while you're at it, join the AV Educate group. We'll drop the link in the comments. If you want to join the Zoom room by texting 407-504-7690. Again, that number is 407-504-7690. This number is only used for our panelists, and you won't receive any spam texts from this number, but you will receive weekly invites to the Zoom room. We're opening the rooms at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and we close the doors at 6:55. But keep in mind, panelists have to participate and have to keep their cameras on during the talk. Moving forward, due to the nature of streaming, there's a bit of a delay between when we say in our Zoom room and when it hits Facebook. So when making comments or asking questions, please provide some context. The user interface becomes more sleek, and this will lead to more meaningful engagement. Now, be the sharpshooter in the room. No questions are too basic. AV's mission is to help through knowledge. People move from stagehand to technician. Chances are that others have the same questions you do, so please ask away. At the same time, we welcome comments and input on the topic at hand. So don't hold back that great topic or that correction when one of us says something inaccurate. Now, we don't know everything. We are human. We don't claim to know everything. We may discuss or show the way we do something, and that doesn't mean it's the only way, but it's the way we found that works for one of us. If you have another way that's easier or yields better results, please share that with everybody. The whole session is a live Q&A. Our questions will be discussed, the topics for about an hour, and then we'll move to more about a round table discussion. There's no formal Q&A section. Again, the whole session is a live Q&A, so don't wait until the end to ask your questions or to make your comments. And finally, a shameless plug. Please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram so we can grow bigger and collaborate with even more amazing people just like you. That's all I got, guys. Back to the main room, back to Zoom, and back to you all in Facebook land. Again, thank you for being here, thank you for watching, and thanks for sharing.
And welcome back to AV Tech Talks. Thanks for joining us. We got a interesting show tonight. We're going to be talking about ProPresenter. Has anybody on the panel used ProPresenter? Great. Well, Chuck, of course, you've used it. Omar, do you want to tell us maybe a little bit about what you've done with ProPresenter?
Yeah, so ProPresenter we used one time for NapT, the NapT show in the Fountain Blue. We used it to do some stuff with the display wall, just had the functionality to do the 3-out on the computer side without having to get external hardware. We got ProPresenter. Nothing crazy fancy, I'm sure, for what it does, obviously. And a couple of times I've done some stuff with churches just to, like as a help part of the install side. So nothing crazy. Again, it's super complicated on my end.
That's great. That's cool, though. At least you have some face time with it. Nina, it looked like you said maybe you've used it a little bit.
A little bit, mainly as an op, just firing different cues, not necessarily programming, but it's cool. There's interesting functionality. I understand why so many people use it. Yeah.
Cool. Was there anybody else who had a hand? I don't remember. Obviously, Chuck doesn't count because Chuck's going to tell us all about it today. Great. Okay. Well, then we're all here to learn. I've had minimal exposure to it. I know someone who uses it a lot on a lot of shows, so I've been alongside it. And it seems like it does pretty intuitive interfaces, things that are easy to find, maybe a little less intimidating than some other software like Qlab if you've just getting onto it for the first time. But it seems like a pretty cool program. So, Chris, do you have anything, or Omar, before we kick it to Chuck? Because I kind of want to dive into this if you guys don't have anything.
No, you know me. I always want to dive right in. Less from me, more from Chuck.
That's awesome. Great. So, Chuck, tell us about ProPresenter.
Sure. Yeah. Well, ProPresenter is something that I came in contact with as a church volunteer pretty long time ago, about 10 or so years. And it was ProPresenter 3 or ProPresenter 4 at that point. And as a church volunteer, it was what was originally used to trigger song lyrics and be able to have backgrounds behind their song lyrics. And over the years, Renewed Vision, the company who made it, started, as churches grew and started to get more professional with their production, Renewed Vision kind of adapted their product to be able to easily not just call up text and backgrounds, but be able to trigger, more complicated cues. And they listened to their customers. And I remember meeting them at Infocom one year and having a suggestion, which I'll talk about later. And once you know it, when ProPresenter 7 came out, it was there. So it's a company that really listens to their user base. When I started leaving the church and doing high-end AV projects, it was a neat little tool that I just had to bring over. And we started using it to trigger a lot of video playback. It takes most formats. We started using it for sort of like you would use Qlab to trigger audio clips. And that was a little tricky at first. There was times when Qlab was more appropriate, but now you can do a lot more even within ProPresenter. And then we started tying it to sort of out of the box thinking, kind of using some of what they had built in for church tools and taking it into unique corporate clients and doing stuff with that. So it does a lot of cool things. We're going to talk about some of them tonight. I'm going to kind of give you a brief overview because we're virtual, so I don't have all the outputs that I would normally, but I can show you the interface and kind of talk about that. So let's take a look at the interface. ProPresenter is laid out as sort of a visual and graphical cue list, right? So you can easily recall your cues just by clicking on them. Here's one called AV Help Desk. And I'm just going to go over the interface real quick, walk you around the screen, and then we'll talk about some of what the layers and inputs and outputs and what you can do with it. So they changed a lot when they updated it. Have you ever used a software and then the new version comes out and it looks completely different? That's exactly what they did from 6 to 7. And it took a little bit to get used to it. So the biggest thing is the top bar, and I hope you guys can see that okay. If not, I'll go to screen share and zoom in. But there's a show tab, an edit tab, and they call these modes, a reflow tab, and then you can have a stage editor, theme editor, props editor, and mask editor. There's a library. There's what we call playlists. And then there's a second section down here, which is I'm covering. Down here is where you can load in some baseline media clips. The original purpose of this, and let me go to one of their sort of pre-builts that they give you. The original purpose of ProPresenter was to trigger a background and then easily trigger song lyrics over it, right? So you would trigger the background, and then I'm going to switch to program here for a second, and I could easily switch which lyric we're on. And that was one of the most common uses of ProPresenter for years, and it can still be used that way. But they've added some more playback options. Now, if you wanted to use it for like announcements, they have this new thing called the announcement layer. And when we talk about layers, that's going to be super important. So this is just a slideshow that was built within ProPresenter that's meant to be played as sort of like a pre-show. And it loops as you see here. So you can trigger different things within this graphical window. And this is one of the reasons why people like it a lot when you have to have volunteers step up and trigger a show. You can have each portion of the show over here, and then they just click on what comes next and go through it. And it has color coding, and that's all great. That's a lot of what House of Worship uses it for. What I like to use it for is in conjunction with whatever I put in this big working area, and over here, whatever I put in the music section, I can use it to trigger most of the cues within a simple corporate event or corporate show. And what I mean by that is, let's say we had a title that had to come up. You'll notice my title here, black background, is now displaying over the last background that I had chosen. And if I were to change that background, it would still show. But then I can also trigger music over here, and you're not going to hear this necessarily, except through Bang. But you saw it was instant. Let me clear it.
Yeah, we are hearing that.
Okay, cool. Up here on this side of the screen is where you have they've moved these. These are the new clear controls. So you can clear each layer separately. I can clear just the background. I can clear just the foreground. And what you saw me do just a moment ago was clear audio. By mixing those, you can easily have all the visual cues for your show. Now this on the output isn't showing the countdown. We'll get to timers in just a minute. I wanted to give you guys the brief overview of the layout. Down here are sort of our background layers. So if I trigger stuff here, it goes on the background layer. Here's an example real quick. This is going to be really bad. This is my FaceTime camera. Let me clear the first one. There we go. So there's my FaceTime camera. I'm so sorry. But I can use that to layer stuff over it. So for instance, I can layer this graphic over it. And let me show you a better idea of what that looks like. So let me trigger that again. Alpha channel video over a video layer as the background. Right? Let me turn that off now. So by using these tools, you can easily build and quickly trigger. Here, let me show you here. You see how fast that video triggers. I mean, we expect that in the industry, right? Playback Pro, same way. You expect it to trigger when you need it. This one's going to have audio. Another example, just triggering the video right away. So that's the basics. And I wanted to cover the basics first. Bringing items in to here are as simple, I'm going to use forklift, are just as simple as selecting a video file and then dragging it wherever you want it to go. And this is going to ask me if I want to override it because it's the same clip that I just showed you. So you bring it in here. You can right click any of these. There are, you can set transitions for just that item. You can set a go to next timer. So let's say you wanted to click on a slide and you wanted to kind of like Qlab, you can say, okay, I'm going to click on this. I want it to play for so many seconds and then go to the very next item. So you can do that in here, set a go to next timer. You also have access to an inspector where in this instance for this video, I could set a thumbnail if I wanted to. I could go to properties and I can set it to loop if I wanted to. So it's an easy way to create looping backgrounds if you wanted to layer some graphics over it. It's just like any tool. It's a cool tool. And if you learn how to use it to its fullest, then you can do some really cool things with it, right? Kind of like OBS and everything like that. It might be daunting at first, but you can do some cool things for it. And then the same thing, what's really cool, let me go to this one. So I'm going to bring up the inspector on this video clip. And let me show you why this is a big deal, because I can load in a client's video clip, and this has happened on multiple shows. Hey, Chuck, here's my video clip. I need you to play it. Oh, but you know what? I forgot. My editor didn't take off his title slide before the video. Can you cue it to just start after that first title slide? I just want to start on the interview. Well, right in here, I've already loaded it in ProPresenter. I can go here, play it, and set the endpoint wherever I want. Say I set the endpoint there. Boom. Now the endpoint is set. And I go back. And now when I play it, it's going to start right there. So that alone has saved me so much on various productions, especially when it's Summit. I've done some scientist summit where literally they're coming in that morning on a plane and then they hand you a flash drive and they want you to play their recent findings or something like that. So ProPresenter has been a really cool tool for that. So that concludes the overview. Before we dive deep into anything else, I wanted to open it up for questions because I know how AV Educate works and I wanted to divide into sections.
Great. Yeah, we have a question from Fred Jones. If something goes wrong, how easy is it to recover?
Super easy. It on both PC and Mac, and I didn't preface that at the beginning. This now works. They've rebuilt it from the ground up. It now works on both PC and Windows. I'm sorry, Windows and Mac. It works a little better on the Mac, like most things, but it comes up pretty quick. So I'm gonna do that live. Let's just do it. Yeah, I have my screens duplicated. Let's just do it. I'm gonna quit out of ProPresenter right here. I'm gonna go and reopen. Let's say, now for more important shows, we'd probably be running 2 instances, right? Or we'd have some kind of playback. So let's assume that my output is back on, and let's play this video clip. And let me just make sure. There we go. So that was how fast it went down, came back up. Now, obviously, if the computer rebooted, that would be, you know, something completely different, but you can exit and restart fairly quickly. It's not like some of the older programs used to be, where there was a really long preload time. You know, even Photoshop has a longer load time than this now. Any other questions?
Yeah, Omar, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I just had a quick question. Can you dive a little bit more into? I've always loved the way ProPresenter and ProVideo Player have done their layouts. Can we go into a little bit more about how they set up their layouts and help people who may not know this program too well or understand layering too much for video side, how that really works out? You did a great example of it. I just wanted to dive in a little bit more for someone who might be watching.
That's why I said that was the overview. Where the really power comes in is being able to assign where your outputs go. And are you talking about some of what you saw here on my screen where I have these different layouts?
Yeah, so like, you know, the bottom row is the bottom layer, and then you have the second layer above that, and then there's another layer on top of that for the overlays and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can even choose now. Do I have it in here? I don't think I have it in here necessarily. Let's build one. You can do builds now within a single icon here. But first, let me just give you an example of this. And I'm going to re-trigger that because we weren't there. So this is me overlaid on another A10 Mini. But so this is my horrible FaceTime camera, a background, which could be a video if you wanted it to. And then I'm just have a looping video of a graphic overlay. Now I built that into one square up here, but let me show you how easy it is to build a new graphic. So let me clear that behind me. Let me go back to this and let's build a new slide. So I'm going to click on this plus down here, which you can't see because I'm covering it, and add new slide. So I'm just going to add a blank slide, which is right here, and we're going to edit that slide. Now the slide editor, this is where you have a lot of flexibility of what you want to add. You can add text, shapes. I love how they have a generic media. Like it doesn't matter. You could add a PNG, a video, a JPEG, a TIFF. And then you could choose to add a video input and scale it as well. Or you could add a web page, which if you were pre-building something and you want to show them like a donation page, or what I like about this is if you're using one of those platforms for like auctions, you can actually embed the results page and show that. So I'm just going to build something here real quick with a big blue rectangle. And then we are going to add a circle. And I probably should make those different colors, which I can do here, or you can click on the wheel. So imagine if these are text elements or actual pictures. I'll add a picture here in a second actually as well. And let's add a media as well. I'm actually going to add that clip that we had from before. Okay. Then I can go to, I can either play that, you know, let's say for some reason I wanted to show that. And I can show that on the output right now by clicking, let me go to output, and I'm going to click the show button, which is way down here in the bottom right corner. So let me go here. And so you can see that's what that looks like. Yeah, it's basically showing everything I dumped in there. But let's say that's not what I want. What I want to do is build. So I'm going to click on a layer. Let's click on this first. Add a build. How do I want to build? Move in. Swap. Click on another layer. Add a build. Just move in. And then click on the square or the text. And that can move in as well. And let's see. You can choose, after you add a build to everything, you can choose how you want to build in. In other words, so let me select everything. And not when everything's selected. Delivery by bullet. So I can choose to build in each thing sort of one by one, starting with each item. So let's do this now. Go back to the show button. Click on this really convoluted slide. And I didn't add a build to each and every item, but you'll see that there is something here. If I click again, oh, let me clear it. So there's a circle. I click again. There's a video. I click again. There's a text. I click again. There's the graphic. So that was just a really quick, ugly overview, but I hope that gives you an idea of, with just a little bit of time, you can build some really cool, complex builds of even just the speaker slides, right? Or your own if you're building something. So so layering can be a lot of fun, and that's why I like to show. Let me go back here now. Let me clear the over slide, and let me show you back to what I'm doing here. You can see it in the upper right hand corner, but I clicked the video on the background layer, and now anything that I click up here with an alpha channel is going to show over that video, right? So I got my lower thirds coming in. I can do these really cool titles. Let me show you what that looks like. I can do a little live bug. So that's great. Okay, Chuck, what can I do with this? Why would I want this if I'm just going in, you know, what am I doing? Taking HDMI out of the computer? How am I getting this to a screen? Yeah, HDMI out is one way. What's really exciting, and I absolutely hate that camera. What's really exciting is that here's where it gets fun, okay? I'm going to go to Preferences, and we're going to talk about screens. So part of the reason what makes this so attractive is you can set audience screens and stage screens and then assign content to different screens. In other words, if you had a background video layer, you could choose a screen and only send the background and choose whatever is an overlay item not to go to that, right? Sort of like clean output in the switcher. I set up, but I wasn't prepared to bring it in anywhere else here at my studio. But in ProPresenter 7, if you look down here, I hope you can read this, they added the ability to add NDI out. And not just NDI out, if you're on a Mac, and you know what this means, siphon out. Now, siphon out is huge because now I can use that to come into any of a number of other programs to then do other stuff to my output. Right? So I can choose to have an HDMI out. That's going to do what I want it to. I can also have an NDI out. I can choose what resolution that NDI out is going to be. So let's say I just need to give a, let's say I'm not using NDI for my production, but I have a green room and I need to send a signal to that green room so that they can see what's going on out in the studio. I can send an NDI at 640 by 480 to a small screen that I'm not taking up as much bandwidth, but I'm getting a screen to that. Or let's say it was a stage production and you need to put one in the dressing room or the green room so that people know when to be cued. If you wanted to use NDI going out, then and this is the part I haven't confirmed with them, is that NDI of just the overlay layer would maintain alpha. And I don't know that for sure. And I'm trying to preemptive answer a question, Ed, with that. So I don't know if that's come up. But I have used the siphon out. Now, caveat being, I don't use live video into ProPresenter a lot. I use it into my switcher as a tool for playback graphics and titles. And one of the key things that why people love ProPresenter is if you have a Blackmagic Decklink card and you can get, I forget the name of the company that makes the one that works with the MacBook Pro, but if you had a Mac or even a PC with a Decklink card, you used to have to pay, I don't remember what it was, like an extra $350 for this. Now it's included, and that is separate key and fill out. And if you think about that, that is huge for a program that only costs $399. And I know that question is going to come up, Ed. That it's $399 for the license now.
Great, because Disa Cameron from the panel had asked if we could touch on the price point. So
Sure.
$399. Are there any other tiers for pricing?
There are site licenses, and the best way to do that would probably be to bring up the website. There are site licenses, and then there are used to be tiered as far as add-ons. If you wanted alpha channel output, you had to buy the card and an add-on license. If you wanted multi-screen out, which was the ability to, I think, Omar, this is what you did. You spread it across 3 screens. Is that what it was? Yeah, we've done that with video walls before. I did it in the previous version, and it was an add-on to get that functionality.
Yeah, it was an add-on. I don't know about with the latest version, but it was an add-on when I did it, and honestly, it was fantastic. It did exactly what needed it. The other route was to do Playback Pro with like a matrix on it to split it out and then redo it for the 3 monitors just for this look they wanted to do. And this did it with the video file ingested itself, and it did all the everything I needed for it. It was awesome. It took me literally 2 hours to get it up and running.
Yeah, we bought a stretch shape 20-foot wide stretch spandex screen, and I put 2 projectors on the floor and matched them up, overlapped them, and I used 4K images to stretch the entire 20 feet, and then I used the video input option to play their videos and slides and stuff in the center. So we had these, it was a travel themed. So we had these huge vistas of American Canyon and all this stuff. And then in the middle, we used it. Now, if I was going to use something like a Analog Way or a Barco, the price point on that for that client would have been much higher. Plus, it would have been a lot more time to configure for that. So we've used it that way. The other part I haven't shown yet is while you're doing all that, you can also have a stage screen going to downstage monitors with timers. If you are doing something like slide text, you can have the slide text on them, and it'll also play out. It'll also play out for the client the time remaining on videos as you play. So I'm going to see if I can do this here real quick. Hold on. Nope, that's the wrong one. Not that one. That one. Yep. I'm going to reassign it. I just really quick, I want to show you guys what this stage screen looks like, and you can configure this. So I'm going to click on a video here, and it automatically starts showing them time remaining. So you can imagine how useful this is to not have to build something separate to have countdowns for your talent. And we're working now on how to route this over NDI into another computer that is another login on a Zoom meeting so that my talents can pin that on their second screen so they can see how much time is remaining on the videos as we do playouts. So super useful stuff. And that's why I was super excited to share it with you guys. So questions, Ed?
Yeah, no, that functionality is really cool. Even giving it to the TD, you know, so because they constantly are asking for updates on TRTs and stuff. So that would be.
Or sharing it to the lighting guy if he has to know the next cue.
Right.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So yeah, we do have a handful of questions that have come in so far. And Victor Obejo, I think that's how I'd say that. Probably not. I butchered that, I'm sure. Have you used this on a major event? Always think of this for church groups.
Sure. Does 20,000 people count?
I think so.
So I have used this for 500 person board meetings, kickoffs, and I've used it for 6 years for our town's 4th of July concert and celebration. And I've used 2 instances of it. One was driving our main LED video wall of all content, and it was on the entire time. So sometimes it was waving flags, sometimes it was promo, holiday greetings from local vendors. And then I had 2 LED wall panel strips on the sides of the stage that were advertising banners. So instead of the sponsors buying vinyl banners around, which they still did around the stage, the sponsors I had 2 themed LED panels hanging down the side of the stage, running ProPresenter on a loop. I showed you how you could set the go to next timer. So I had each sponsor's logo with a animated background, rotating every 15 seconds throughout the program, going to 2 separate video wall drivers, Nova. So yes, I have relied on this for some big events. And when it was ProPresenter 5 and ProPresenter 6, probably events I shouldn't have, but it worked. And there is one time I had an event where it did hiccup and I had to restart. But over, a couple hundred events over 6 years, I don't think that's too bad.
I would say that's pretty decent odds, actually.
Yeah. And I actually know another guy who, here's the cool thing. Because it was a platform built on churches, there was a time where I had a corporate client and they wanted to do a sing-along. And I'll demonstrate this really quick. They wanted to do a sing-along. First, let me set up my screens again. And we had to very quickly adapt to be able to do, said sing-along. So let's see. Let me do that. Okay. So why don't I do that now real quick? What I want to show you is, let's say, I don't really have, I'll use one of their backgrounds. So let me just grab this one here. I'm going to copy this. So Ed, ask a question while I get this set up, if you don't mind. I want to keep it going.
So Fred Jones had asked, it came in when we were talking about, when you were showing us how quick it can recover. Does it keep a signal source downstream do you keep a signal source downstream just in case? it goes down.
Yes. This is never running direct to a projector ever.
In your workflow.
In my workflow.
Right.
For me, this is always run to a switcher that has some sort of backup. And that backup may just be a still store, which is just an emergency cutaway. So yes, that being said, I've used it on very large events, but I do very large events. So I usually have some kind of redundancy or backup in place. And even if that is just a PowerPoint on a little computer that's still running support content that I can cut to if something were to go wrong.
Great.
Planning solves a lot of problems.
But there definitely are people who are using this direct to their projectors
Absolutely.
and stuff.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, if it's a small event and I'm doing something for like my kid's school, I may come in with direct to the projector real quick. Hey, panelists, pick a song, any song, as long as the lyrics are pretty clean.
Just one warning, we are streaming to Facebook, so
MCA.
we want to make
It's
sure
just gonna be text. So let's pick something.
Bucks.
What's something that's in public domain?
Oh, I don't know about that one. I said Paris Swing Box.
What is that?
Weird music.
Happy by Pharrell Williams.
Oh,
There you go. There you go. All right, so let's go ahead and ask a question if you want.
Oh, yeah. So a question I see up here was from, of course, I get this one. Tulak Lopez, Waterman. When running 2 instances, can you connect the two and have them running concurrently, controlling one, having the other follow along?
Yes, they do have that functionality. I'd have to go to the website to see that. I haven't done that in quite a few years because I'm not a house of worship. And I haven't had to do that with like multiple room events in a while. But there is a master and slave mode. So what people use now, it's not as important when you can have sort of different arranged content going into different screens, but you can have, let's say you have one color scheme on the master, but you can have the other slides loaded up and it just takes the pre-work, and then you can have it trigger down the line. The other great thing is it has an amazing iPad app. So you can use an iPad app to trigger your different things. So real quick, what I was going to do is I was going to start a new one here. Let's do a new presentation. We're going to call this Happy. And okay, I put a space. Don't put a space, people. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up the reflow tab and I'm going to paste in the lyrics to Happy. And you see it, they come in here. Or actually, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm sorry. That's one way to do it. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do File, Import, Text from Clipboard, and I'm going to tell it, hey, go ahead and split it up per line. 2 lines before you split. Let me choose a good theme. Let's do 2-line black box. And we'll move it to that library. And we'll create a new playlist. We'll import it. And this is what I was going to show you is now I have all the lyrics to Happy already made into slides where I can call them up on the screen. So if a client asks me that, I can literally get it done in like 2 seconds. Just, okay, let me go find it, copy it. And then I just go and choose, let me just play that one. Go back here. And I didn't turn it on. Here we go. It might seem crazy. And then I have it on a fade right now, but I have done rap groups who were like, nah, man, there's no way. I'm like, just give me the lyrics. And they gave me the lyrics, and I kept up with everything. And they said that was the only time they've ever had their lyrics up on a screen for a performance, and the audience went nuts because it was a charity event, and so there was a different older crowd that wasn't necessarily a hip hop music crowd, and they loved the fact that I, half hour before the show started, I was able to get 5 of their top songs lyrics into the program. So that's just one of the powerful things that I love about this.
Yeah, that was really fast. So that was pretty cool. Importing it the way you just did and having it automatically split it up into the 2 lines, that seems very easy workflow wise.
Yep. And there's 2 other ways to edit it. I could go back and edit each slide one by one. They also have this quick edit function where it's kind of hard to see up there, but I just open this up and I can actually click in here, delete a word, remove something, and close it back up, and it'll be changed. Or I can go to edit slide, and that brings me full screen to the editor, and then I can go down all the screens, and like if I wanted to take out the parentheses, for instance, I can do that quick. So that's really fun. You can also, I don't know if you saw on here, you can also import PowerPoint slides, and it will convert them to JPEG stills. So if I got to a client ahead of time, a lot of times I will take their PowerPoints, as long as I said, do you have any builds? Do you have any transitions? Do you have any animations? No? Great. I'm going to load them into ProPresenter, because now I have a little bit more control, and I can actually trigger music at the start of their slides, or I can trigger a sound effect or something like that. So it's I've seen some theaters use ProPresenter to trigger background animations for sort of like atmosphere effects, right?
That's great. That's cool. The person who I know who uses it does it for a lot of theater jobs as well. For that kind of, in place of something like Qlab, because he was running all PCs, so he didn't have the option to run Qlab. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is one of the things. Now, is there questions building up?
There are. Actually, Nina from our panel had a question. Nina, did you want to?
Yeah, and this might segue into something else, but you mentioned Zoom earlier and Zoom functionality. And I wanted to know how well ProPresenter is playing with Zoom and other streaming services in our, new world order.
Perfect segue. Thank you. I was just about to touch on streaming. Now, as far as getting ProPresenter into Zoom directly, there is a way to do that with similar to some other tools like Manycam or whatever. You can use like a virtual webcam, or you can use a site. Well, that's why I love Siphon on the Mac, is I can actually have it out, and then in Zoom on the Mac, it'll show up as an input. The reason I don't use it that way is because I already have an A10 Mini, and I would rather use that as the input. And even on the same computer, I'll have Zoom running, ProPresenter running with one screen going out an HDMI into my thing, and I'll use it just to cut back and forth from my good camera to the A10 Mini. Now, what I can't do with that is any of these alpha channel overlays. So the opposite would be bringing it in as that background layer like I showed, and then you can do some fun things with it. Like I can get it to have, actually this is it right here. Hold on. So this is an example right now. Ignore the alpha key in the front. So this is my my FaceTime camera, and then that window is actually hold on. Okay, so that is actually just grabbing my second screen. That's what that's doing. Or no, that's the NDI. I'm sorry, that's grabbing the NDI feed. So that's one reason to bring it in and then have that go out to Zoom. However, let me go back to here. With ProPresenter 7, they have enabled the ability, and that's capture settings. Let me go to streaming. They have enabled the ability so for you to go out directly to YouTube, Facebook, and then they have incorporated their own streaming service, which is Resi, which uses its own, it's not RTMP, it's not UDP. I'll have to go to the Resi page to see. The reason I don't use it is because it's a paid service and it is a buffering service. So it's a CDN. So for churches, but it could also be used for corporate events. You can choose to have streamed directly from ProPresenter to one of those services, and it'll process on your computer. I don't use that because I have a A10 Mini, and I would rather it handles it. But here, let me just go here. Go ahead, ask questions.
Sorry, but without using Resi, you can stream. If you have your own CDN, for example, you can stream with an RTMP.
You can, and I had it set up before our meeting, and now I have to get back to where that was. So, okay. Here we go. Destination, RTMP or Resi.
Okay.
So RTMP, and then you put in the address, the streaming key, set the bit rate. It doesn't have super refined controls, but you can go between, 4 and 6 and 9 megabits per second. And you can also choose, although I haven't tested this as far as computer usage, but you can choose to save a local copy as well at the same time. It also has pretty powerful audio routing. Now, right now, I'm only putting left and right channels left and right into here, but when you're setting up, you can actually choose it to grab, like if you had a X32 and you had a USB capture, you could choose it to grab specific audio channels. You could choose it, I believe if you had Dante installed, you could choose that as well.
How many audio output channels does it have? Just left and right?
It looks like output is only 2, but input, it looks like you can choose which ones you want to use, depending upon which plugins are installed. I don't have that right now, so I can't really show it. The other thing it has built in, I'm just going to touch on this because we're a bunch of AV nerds, is it has some nice test patterns built in, and that I've used on several occasions as I'm setting up projections at a venue or something like that. You can choose the test patterns. All right, any more questions?
Oh yeah, we got plenty of questions piling up.
All right, let's hit them.
Fred Jones had asked, what do you prefer to create inside of ProPresenter, and what do you prefer to create outside and import in?
Well, a lot of these things that I showed here, that I have here, were just done in either using MojiRTs in Premiere or using After Effects and then exporting ProRes with Alpha. So I love using that to create. You can also just do it with Photoshop, creating PNGs with Alpha and then using transitions to bring it on screen here. Here's one that I did. This one here is just a lower third that I built within ProPresenter. Was that ProPresenter or Keynote? Let me double check. Nope. I built this one completely here in ProPresenter. So this is just a really quick one that I did for tonight. So if you have the time, you can build directly here. I like to use, Adobe Suite. Hope that answers that question.
Oh, great. Thank you. Jeff from our panel has a quick question.
Hey, Chuck. I wanted to get some clarity. It does it supports, and does it have a limit of ingesting live video cameras as well? So yeah, much like a video switcher. And as well, I'll just add it now, is what kind of hardware requirements are ProPresenter 7 gonna get from us?
Yeah, well, I love running it on my really beefy PC desktop. And it looks like you can only choose 2 inputs. Well, you might be able to add multiples. So I haven't tested it yet. You can input your OBS virtual cam directly into here. FaceTime cam, expression, Blackmagic Design, which is the A10 Mini. The only thing I don't see here, oh no, here it is. So I'm not going to click on the NDI source here. Just know that there is an NDI source on my network right now, but it happens to be this very same machine as another output from ProPresenter. So I haven't tested the limits of video inputs, and that's only because I have the hardware switchers. Does that make sense, Jeff? Like, I haven't wanted to push the software limits on this. I have a large desktop, i7, 8-core, 64 gigs RAM, with a Blackmagic Design card in it. I believe I've done as many as 2 inputs on that, but I haven't ever wanted to use it as a true video switcher. I've always just done 1 input and then used a switcher to send what I wanted to that 1 input, if that makes sense.
One more. I've worked with a lot of different churches over this last year, and I haven't done it myself in ProPresenter, but I hear that ProPresenter is probably about the only one that can, and that is the ability to build the templates that go out to the televisions, projectors, to the foyer and so forth with that framework, but having a different template for NDI. So projector and screens are your big full screen motion graphics with lyrics, let's say, but the web stream, you want those same exact lyrics, same source of lyrics, but you want it to be of a different template, so it's more of a lower third on the stream, because the stream may be the choir or the musician with lower thirds, where inside they already have that live, but they do a large graphic with the lyrics on top of that. So it's really 2 templates for the same source of data.
Correct. And that's where this really shines. I just brought up here the looks tab. So you can edit different looks. If I scroll back up to the top here, I know it's hard to see, I apologize. Screen 1, screen 2, screen 3. So if you specify which screen output, let's say you had NDI going to those outer, other look that you wanted, you can choose what's going to show up on there. And in order to do the ones where they have like more specific overlays, Jeff, and more of a maybe wrapping, for that I would probably use ProPresenter with the master slave, right, and have it pre-built that way. But one of the ways that I've only used it once this way, it's very powerful, but you see there is an announcements layer, and that's kind of what this was up here. You can choose, let's say you had one of these presentations. Now this presentation, I played it earlier, it auto rotates between these 4 slides. I can tell this announcements layer to just go out to one of those screens. And it can keep running. Like, let's say you had a lobby that was just rotating a speaker agenda or a time or something like that. You could have that displayed on TVs out in the lobby and have that same computer running it that's running the show inside. So yeah, ProPresenter can do that. It just takes, setting it up, testing it, and letting it run. I'm going to clear that. Next question.
Sorry. So Lou Perez asked, does it store all the files, playlist, config, and resources in the same location to make it easy to manage projects? Or is it easy to manage projects?
It's pretty easy to manage projects, but it also has an export function. And this is how, if you do some work in the House of Worship circles, I every year was doing a huge worship concert that was like 9 hours downtown. And I had about 16 different bands that wanted to give me their lyrics or their slides or whatever. If they use ProPresenter, I could just have them export each of their songs or a package of all their songs, and they could just deliver that to me via email, Dropbox, or USB. So it does make it, because I'm guilty of that too, right? Sometimes you'll go through a busy season, like in the fall, and you'll do 10 shows in a row, and now all of a sudden you're super cluttered in your workspace. I've done that on Resolume. I've done that on other software, right? It just gets stacked up, and you have to learn how to manage it. Did that ring the bell there, Disa? So yes, you can export. And what I like to do is maybe have an external hard drive for different clients, and then export the show from this year, name it, date it, put an external hard drive, and then if I have to recall it next fall when they do their next one, I can recall it, and chances are, if they're not really pushing the envelope, it's going to be similar to what last year's was.
Great. I think that nailed that. Frank, our next question came from Frank Henney here in the Zoom webinar. So for key and fill, do you have to use 2 inputs on the switcher?
You do, right. And you can only do key and fill. You can't do key and fill out of HDMI right now. I wish they would enable that. I'm not sure why they don't. But you have to use a Decklink card. And it will be 2 of those SDIs. And you can't do it from, thank you, Jeff. I'm sorry, I forgot that, Jeff Kifley. So yes, the NDI will carry the key and fill. And so you would have to set that up in the software to do it. Thank you, Jeff. But right now, if you have a MacBook or a Tower that has a Blackmagic card, you can enable that as well. That NDI guy.
Cool. Yeah. Jeff is a wealth of information. Thanks, Jeff, for doing that.
Absolutely, Jeff.
Chiming in. AV Trainer asks, is multi-display output supported through NDI or only through physical jacks?
You mean like having an announcement layer and a regular screen, or like a stage screen? Here, let's go back to the screens setup. So under each audience output and stage output, I can choose if I want to add an NDI or a siphon. And let's add a new NDI, and then let's add another NDI at 720, and then let's add another NDI. So I don't know. Well, I don't want to crash my network here if it starts pushing it out. But as far as I know, A. Mitchells, I don't think that they've set a true limit with NDI. I think it'd be a hardware limit. Now, as far as how many, like, can I have 8 NDIs of the announcement layer and 2 of the audience layer? That I do not know. That might be, maybe we'll have a day to push the limits and see what we can break.
You'll have to make a ProPresenter test kitchen, I guess.
Yeah.
To do that. Great. So we still have a couple more questions, if you're up for it, and
Sure.
then we'll get back to if there's other stuff you want to show us. Robert Mungillo asked, you mentioned decklink cards. Could you touch on the subject of configuring them for cut and fill for lower thirds sent to hardware switchers that do not have NDI? So if you can maybe guys go into more of how you actually would set up those cut and fills.
Oh, gotcha. Well, unfortunately, with Renewed Vision's ProPresenter, they kind of handle that for you. So let me go back. Ignore background colors, and there are some things that don't pop up until you have the cards installed. So this one is not sensing that I have any kind of Blackmagic Decklink card installed, so I can't choose it as an option. But even with the NDI, it doesn't give me a choice for what the alpha is. So I believe I would have to have that sort of turned on. So let me see. I haven't enabled it yet on this machine. One thing we didn't touch on while I'm on that screen, you guys see here, there's also a MIDI and DMX mapping, so you can use that to trigger your upcoming cues and stuff like that. So I don't have it right here, and the reason why I'm fumbling is because the last time I did key and fill was on ProPresenter 6, and everything was laid out much differently back then. One thing I want to touch on for Mac users, they have enabled this. If you see this here, it's a metal. They have enabled metal rendering. I crashed it when I tried it. So I don't know when you would use that or when you would want to use that.
Can you explain what that is real quick for anybody who might not know?
I'm not as familiar with metal other than it being another rendering language with that. I haven't played with it as much.
Got it.
I knew that someone here has, and I knew that maybe that is something that they want to talk about. I know it's an Apple. Is Metal the new M1 rendering? No, it's not. Metal capable GPU. So if you have the new GPU, then you should be able to use it for extra rendering. Now, when I tried it, I got color mismatch. I got all kinds of weird problem when I enabled it in my tests. So I have left it off. And that's why they put a big capital letters here, still in beta. We're hoping we get some more advanced processing.
Right. Well, and that should be a good time to note for anybody, if you're using something for production, don't use the beta version of anything if you're going into a show. That's just my rule of thumb.
Yep.
But
and they actually warn you when you turn it on, please only do this in a test environment and make sure before you go live, because they don't want to be responsible.
Of course. AV Trainer had on Facebook kind of clarified He was referencing to multi-output for screen blending purposes in that previous question.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. So the screen blending is actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. Well, I have not used it in ProPresenter 7 yet. It just came out last fall and or the spring actually. And I know where it is on 6, but I cannot show you just yet on 7. So hopefully that'll be something we can talk about later. The screen blending, because it does enable. I know I just saw it when I was going through this. The ability to edge blend and the ability to overlap.
Great. Lars Svensson says, thanks for the presentation. Is it possible to have, say, 3 different outputs with 3 different resolutions and say 1 vertical and 2 horizontal?
When you get into the vertical and horizontal, it doesn't handle that on separate outputs. So you can do different resolutions. When I had to have them synced, like I mentioned, I had the video walls that were vertical resolution, and I had my big wall. For that, I used 2 instances of ProPresenter and had them synced, so that, and that's what a lot of houses of worship do as well. You can have it so that when I trigger on this one, it's going to trigger the matching one in vertical format on this one. So you could have, let's say you had 2 screens that were same orientation, but one was 720 and one was 1080. Then you wanted to do another one, and that one was in whatever portrait, and then you could have that on another machine set to trigger when you trigger the other one. Or if you didn't want to pay for the license, then what you do is you set the other one up, you have the iPad next to you, and you trigger one with the mouse, and you trigger one with the iPad. That works too.
Cool. Do you have other stuff that you wanted to demo, or do you want to take a couple more questions?
I would love to take questions. There's a couple more things in here we didn't talk about timers. So let's take 2 more questions, and then I want to show you timers, messages, and props real quick.
Great. So another from AV Trainer. Why can't you trigger audio files on the entry to slides in something like PowerPoint or Keynote? Or are you referring to triggering a playout event on a separate machine?
Oh, I'm sorry. AV Trainer, what I was referring is, let's say I had this this graphic here, or let's say I had a video background here. I could add a song, a sound effect, or something to that to trigger only when I trigger that. If we go back to some of these here, this one right here is set to play this background clip, and then I can go through and click on any of these sort of text that they have here and continue going without changing what the background is. But I can set on any of the, whatever I click on, I can set any kind of action of clear. So in other words, if I want to build a show, and I knew that I had a clip of something, and then I had a title, I could play the video, and the video, as long as it's set to a background video, I could overlay anything with an alpha channel over that in an overlay that I wanted to. But let's say I had to be, I wanted to play a sound. I'm thinking theater right now. So let's say I wanted to play a dark and stormy sky and trigger some thunder and lightning sound effect. Just like in Qlab, how you can have it so that that sound keeps going and you overlay new stuff on top of it. I could overlay new stuff on top of it, or I can set a clear action for the right thing. So when I go to 3 more things, but on the 4th thing, we're going to clear that. We're going to clear that thunder and lightning. Okay. So that's what I meant by that, is if I was bringing in the PowerPoint into here so that I could trigger other things or clear things or go back and forth, that was what I was referring to. So clarity there, A. Mitchells. Hopefully that helps. Oh, I lost you, Ed.
Sorry, I double muted there. So it looks like we only have a couple questions left. So let's see. This is another one from AV Trainer. So following Jeff Keithley's question about multiple output templates and simplifying it for us hardware switcher people, how many aux output buses or display templates can ProPresenter support at one time? Can you also add a separate template for the RTMP stream, or does it just follow the primary output? Thanks for such a great presentation.
Yeah, and leave it to him to trip me up on that one. I don't stream out of ProPresenter. So I have not played with those quite as much. I know that a lot is possible, but it's not so much you choose this layout for the stream. It's more of you choose right here, if you can see it, you choose which screen is going to feed the stream. So yes, Jeff, if you had applied a different layout to screen 2, then you could say that's the screen I want to use for the stream, or that's the screen I want to use going to the RTMP, right? Whereas on the NDI output, I could only be sending screens 1 and 3, and screen 2 could be set up with a different look to go to the RTMP. So it is possible. I am going to be totally honest here. I have been hesitant to push this tool for that purpose. And once again, I'm just going to back up and say that's because I am privileged enough to have the hardware tools to do the other things. So I'm not going to say it's not possible. We've seen some amazing things being done with other tools being used outside of their normal way. I'm using this already outside of its normal usage, but that would be interesting to really push the limits and see what's possible.
Great, thanks. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, so interesting question that I actually, couple questions that came in. Richard Bakos, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, sorry. He says, with running all the NDI outputs, how much demand does this put on your computer?
That fan's going pretty fast right now. Let's see. Guys, what's the command to bring up stats on the Mac? Somebody tell me, because I haven't done it in a while.
Come on, you Mac boys.
Come on, Mac boys.
What are we bringing up? I'm sorry.
Stats?
Stats. Fan speed and everything. I just saw it.
I just Google it, or not Google it, sorry. Go to the search bar and type in stats.
That's what I thought. Search bar, not that.
Yeah, I never know where anything is, and they change it so much.
Yeah. So I don't want Spotify stats.
Frank says activity monitor.
Activity monitor. Thank you. That sounds right. I'm one of those people that goes back and forth to Windows all the time. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see this. CPU percentage of ProPresenter right now is at 198. 88 threads being used, and 40% of my GPU. Now, that is probably because I was testing it and creating all those NDI feeds. So there is about 3 NDI feeds running right now, in addition to 2 HDMI outs, and it is also capturing Blackmagic A10 mini in. So, and this is a 2019 fully loaded MacBook Pro. So yeah, it'll use a little bit, and I don't know how much you want to push it. If you notice though, and of course all the motion stopped right when I did that, but it's still playing. It's still playing my videos just fine. And these are ProRes with alpha. Now you don't see anything underneath them right now because I don't have a background layer on, but everything's still processing. So including that funky one that we built with layers. So I hope that makes somebody feel like, all right, it can do a little bit.
Yeah, it seems to be holding pretty good. I mean, using that much CPU and all with 3 NDI feeds, it still does run pretty smooth. So
yeah,
I guess it is not taking as much tax as it could possibly be.
Now, us broadcast people and us events people, a lot of times we shy away from this because it's not it's not considered battle tested in the high profile, really big corporate environments. But these mega churches are using it every week, sometimes several times a week, and it's just one of these house worship things that one of the biggest users of Blackmagic equipment is large scale mega churches, and they do huge productions each week. And more are coming on board now that they're having to stream with getting better equipment. Jeff, you said you were helping a few churches this summer. Were some of them kind of upgrading their streaming services and what they were trying to do?
Oh yeah, I mean there's there's a lot of competitive products out there that a few dollars less makes a big difference. But yeah, it's as they got into it, they one of the big trigger questions was NDI, and by the time some of them got to that question, they used to be able to buy the add-on, I guess, for ProPresenter 6 for Siphon, I think, and but then I believe that became unavailable, and so then they either had to or not upgrade to ProPresenter 7 to really get that functionality. But NDI was a big part of it for them for sure.
Yeah. And what I like about this company a lot is that they do listen. And what I mean by that is I showed you how you could set an in point or an out point on the video. Just in 7, they added the ability to do it in audio as well with waveform. And this saved me so much time on productions because I could load in not just songs, but it also, it used to have the ability to differentiate between what was a song, what was a sound effect. And now they added the ability to set the actual in point on the music. So no longer do I have to say, okay, client just gave me a USB drive with a bunch of MP3s that they want me to play for their show, or they had an artist record for them. But now they decided that X CEO for his walkout music wants to start at the chorus, but they want to use that same song with the long intro later on in the show. And I used to have to load up, Logic or something like that and cut multiple cuts of that song and load them into Qlab or whatever, or take it into Qlab and do it that way. Now I can just come in here and make copies of the song and set multiple in points and have that ready to go. And just like the video, the audio cues right away. So I've done dance shows for local dance companies with all of their songs triggered with the intro slide for the name of the number in ProPresenter, and it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it.
So another great question Frank Henny asked, If ProPresenter went away tomorrow, what would you use instead? I think that's a great question.
I would use Figure 53 Qlab, and then for playout, I'd probably use let's say Renewed Vision went under, so ProVideo player wasn't an option. I would probably use something like MIDI for video playout, or Mimo Live. And those are both Mac based, just because those seem to be a little bit. If I absolutely had to, then I would probably build some big long playlist in OBS with a Stream Deck.
Yeah, no, I plus one, I guess, on the MIDI player. I actually recently got MIDI because of the NDI. It'll output NDI natively, so you can ingest that with multiple vision mixers. Anything that'll take in NDI. So that was a big selling point. But yes, you're right. It is only Mac. I guess on the PC side, Justin, you used what were we using over at SUNY before we got the MacBooks?
Sorry, I had to find my mute button. ShowQ system.
Right, that's another viable option, ShowQ system. And do you see any similarities between ShowQ system and what we're seeing here with ProPresenter?
This is a much easier, much more versatile workflow. I mean, really, ShowQ system comparison is Qlab.
Yeah. Here's what I love about it. It's graphical, and I can train a new tech in 30 minutes on how to use this. If I pre-build, and this during COVID, I had I think when we first met, Ed, I was actually in Vermont taking care of my dad, and I'm in California now, and we had a couple shows, and I would team viewer at night into the ProPresenter computer and build the cue lists for my techs. And they would come in, and we would use Unity Intercom or Unity Cloud. And that way I had them all built and set up, and they were able to trigger all the playback. And it was a Zoom conference. So I was able to direct using tools that we teach here on AV Educate. I was able to direct from Vermont, crew in California, cameras in Miami.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Right?
And you mentioned that it's the graphical. The GUI is pretty simple to wrap your head around when you're using this. But how different, or is it different from Mac to PC?
No. And actually, I am prepared to show you that. So give me just a minute. So I'm going to load this up. And I am just a word of warning. I'm loading this on the exact same PC that I am running Zoom on right now, that I'm connected to you. So should something happen, because it is a PC, then just be warned, I'll be right back. So, okay. Nope. I am going to switch to this. So this is it on the PC. And if we wanted to, we could cut back and forth. And it is almost identical now. They have changed it in the last update. So, and this one has a lot more audio cues, because I most recently used this copy on some big shows. So I was able to create, here, let me try that. So I was able to create different playlists of different songs for different days for this client. And then we were able to recall whichever playlist we wanted, and I'll have all the songs loaded within there. And that was songs leading into breaks, leading into, lunches. And then one thing I haven't shown just yet is, and let me just trigger here, and I can even go to that output. So what I love about ProPresenter is you can download it and you can set it up and you can play with it. And all it's going to do, and this is it running behind me, is every now and then it'll show that logo, the watermark. So feel free to go to Renewed Vision, download ProPresenter, and play with it. And I don't know if it'll still let you do in the demo mode all the NDI outputs, but it would be a great test, right? If you could download it and set up the NDIs, then you could have it to test, play with, and see if it will work for your scenario before you invest the money in it. So as you can see, it looks just the same. So, I mean, I could talk more insidely about it, but
No, that's great. You know,
I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, sometimes you go cross-platform and things are very drastically different. So it's good to know that it's virtually the same. At this point, I don't think we have any real questions in the queue. So if there was some other stuff you wanted to show us, now would be a great time to do so.
Yes.
And then, you know, right now we've got just about a half an hour left of the show.
Okay.
So we would love to, sorry, you know what? Maybe from our panel, I think we do have a question. Nina, did you have something?
I did. I noticed that you had a lot of MP3 files in that one file you were showing us, and I was just wondering what file types and codec types did ProPresenter prefer, or is it sort of neutral, doesn't matter, just in terms of what will play well with it?
Sure. I usually load either waves or MP3s up for the client as audios. I have used AIFFs before, but normally I ask the client to give me waves for super important stuff, or if they're in a hurry, they'll just get me MP3s, and we make the best of it. I did one where the client was getting the MP3s from YouTube, and we all know how that sounds on a pro sound system. So I had to go find them and buy them on iTunes or something and try that. As far as videos, H.264, H.265, MPEG 4s, of course, WMVs, well, not WMVs, the uncompressed Windows format, AVIs. And then on the PC, it struggles a little bit with Apple ProRes. They run much better natively on the Mac. Now, as far as it's not like ProVideo Player is made with proper hard drives for the full uncompressed 444 ProRes top quality. When you're doing it in this, I found that it's better to do a little bit of the compression for fast playback, because it doesn't actually preload each clip, but it seems to want a little bit less to load at first when you first click on it. Does that make sense? I don't understand the actual hard drive, what's going on with the bits and everything, but in testing, I had to do the next layer down with alpha. How low can you go with alpha? Is it 422 P, not PQ? I don't remember. But anyway, one of those is what I found to work best. What I want to show you here real quick, and thank you for that question, is one thing we didn't talk about is timers. And that is, you know, a lot of people like the, what's the one that does the fancy ones? Ecamm, and StreamYard, I think, has the neat countdown timers. You can do some in vMix. Because ProPresenter was really made for, you know, staying on time at houses of worship, you can easily put in here what I'm going to do, and I know this is super tiny, so I'm going to just put my end time to be 6 o'clock p.m. because I'm on the West Coast. Click start. Now that timer is just set and running. You can see it on my output. Now I have a countdown timer. I can theme that. I can load up different types of timers. I can set a game timer here. This one is set for 5 minutes. there is a separate control to start the timer. I can either have the timer set to start when I click on that slide here, or I can have the timer in here, and then you'll see if I start it, that timer will be going. And that is an overlay. So if I had a video underneath that, you would see that. So the timers, you can easily theme your timers. You just create a different sort of theme for what the timer uses. Messages are another way that you can add text overlays. It's really meant for, we talked about those different screens and those different outputs. So for instance, let's say we had a screen that was going to the lobby. You could put a name in here. Let's put Chuck. And then it says room number because this template was originally meant for churches when you're calling parents when their kids are misbehaving, right? So you could put the parent's name and put there. But I don't have a really good template set up for this because I don't use this right now. But I have in the past in version 6 scripted this for tiny little messages or sort of like a gallery comments during a fun meeting. People wanted to throw out suggestions, and I was sort of typing them in live on the fly. So clear messages here. And then I talked about how you can have alpha overlays, like typical one is just live or something like that. Another way that you can do that is by using the props function. And I actually have it here as something different. So let's say I was going to have a background, and I set up my prop here to actually be my video input. Now ignore that one. So the reason why I did this is because I could bring a video input as sort of a picture-in-picture, and because I'm using it as the prop layer, I can change anything underneath it, and the video never goes away. So now you can't see that one because that was that live one. I'm just clicking on different videos here. So another way to use the prop is to, well, let's do one here real quick. Let's create a new prop here. And let's see, that's not letting me create a new one. Props, prop 1, clear them all. And I think I did this in the wrong place. But here's where you could create, new sort of logos or anything to go up in the corner of your video as a prop here. So yeah, I did that wrong. We'll ignore that because I'm feeling the pressure, so I messed that up. Basically, I would create a new prop. So you see I have prop 1 and prop 2 here. Under props, I would have had to create a new one.
Chuck, right now we're just seeing your output of that video.
Oh, you are. Thank you.
No worries.
Good. So you didn't see me mess up. I like that.
You covered it up.
I did. So here's where I had created these two props. And you can actually load up both of them at the same time. So that's the power of props is I can sort of, let me put that back in there. I can sort of layer different things. So let's say let me go back to the output and remember to come back this time. I can actually put 2 different pips if I wanted to assign one of them to be a different video input. And you see that blue triangle is now up there as well. So on the fly, I don't think I can build a prop for you, but that's certainly something to play with. Another powerful tool. One thing that they took out in actually, let me talk about this first. This little stage button here, Remember that stage screen I showed you where you can have the countdown timers and everything going to your downstage monitor for your talent? And I better fix my mic there. So you can actually type in a message to the talent on this button here, the stage message. Then you can choose which stage screen it's going to go to, and just type in, hey, overtime. And then if we were to show that stage screen, you would see that message come up. So I wanted to cover that real quick too. One thing that I wish they hadn't taken out that they did, there used to be social tools built in. And I think that Twitter and Facebook had some problems with how they were interfacing with them, so they removed them. It used to be that I could just go in and put in a hashtag or a Facebook or a Twitter account, and then I could pull up comments and hashtags from that account live and show them on screen. It was a great tool, and I absolutely loved it. And they seem to have removed it in the new version 7. So I hope that comes back. I don't know if it will, but that was a really powerful tool that 6 had.
Yeah, everybody seems to love the comments on screen. Can I interrupt you for a second? Nina, did you have a question?
I did. So I've noticed what you seem to be doing today is a lot of live editing. I was wondering if there was a blind mode or somewhere where if you're doing a show and you need to make an edit, but you need to make it so that it, just basically a blind mode.
Yeah. You can edit almost any slide as long as you don't click on it, right? So you can right click on any of these slides and make changes to them. And it does have a safety function, which I don't have enabled, but I believe it was under advanced. Yeah, option click to suppress auto start video. Well, that's one where, so you can changes the function of the spacebar to play pause video and will no longer hide media cues in presenter view. So that's one. There was another one where you can make it so you actually had to hold down a key function before it triggered something. So that way you can, because it's easy to click on this and move it around. I don't know why I just did that. Let me do this one. So I can move these around, and if you notice my output up there hasn't changed. So I can do some kind of rearranging, but then of course you're tipping on tiptoes, trying really desperately not to actually click on something like that.
Yeah, that's a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, the one way around that is to sort of there's no like hold or free screen or anything like that. The best way to get around that is to do something like choose a different screen for that output. And so you're making your edits on a screen that's not going to that output, and then you come back and change your output to that screen.
That sounds like it leaves a lot of room for error too, though. It doesn't.
It can. So one way around that is I have this big sort of screen set up with all these cues in it. During a show, I would probably have, and actually let me see if I can go back to the PC. So during the show, I would have different ones set up with only a few cues in it, and then go to the next one. Does that make sense? So that way I wouldn't have necessarily the whole show's cues. I would have it divided up into sections. And what that does is that prevents me from accidentally hitting the next arrow or accidentally hitting something that I don't mean to and going on to the next cue when I didn't want to. So it's structure. And that's how you get around that. Like this screen is a lot of cues loaded up, ready to go. And as you can see, right now I'm triggering these just with the arrow key. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time training the guys to touch lightly. But then once again, that's also why I have the output of this going to another switcher, if that makes sense. So it's just like PowerPoint, right? Used to be that if you had like even a perfect cue, if you had an old BlackBerry phone, sometimes if it was too close to the mouse or the wireless mouse, it would trigger it. It's kind of, I look at it the same way. Stuff happens. Prepare for it.
That's cool. And what you were just showing is kind of like either cue lists or groupings on Qlab or something. So that's kind of
correct.
But yeah, no, cool. Great. I mean, right now we don't have too many questions. So if anyone on our, oh wait, sorry, so one just actually came in. Richard Bright. So if you click on a cue in another item, the show would not switch to that cue.
No, if I went browsing around, then the show would absolutely switch to that cue. So by separating it, what I was talking about is your pre-built and I know what you're referring to. In some of the like Playback Pro and some of the others, you could preload it and sort of freeze the output and make it so nothing really changed if you clicked on it. That's the one thing that they don't have, and I wish they would.
And there's no like preview. Like you know how you could be in.
So this right here, yeah. The only thing I can think of is if you could preview the announcements layer. You can change it right here to say, okay, I want this one to go to the announcements layer, not presentation layer, and then I could preview it, and it wouldn't change anything for what's happening in the show. And then I change it back to presentation, and now it's ready to go.
But nothing in preview in the traditional way that we think of, you know, or like running studio mode in OBS or something. It doesn't have that. It's on a separate bus. Got it.
Right.
Okay. So Lars Svensson asks.
John had a question too. When you get a chance.
Oh, great. I'll get to John in just a second. Lars Svensson asked, okay, the obvious question: Stream Deck and ProPresenter.
I have started to play with it. But because it's either finding ways to make the 15 key work efficiently with it, or finding a justification for the 32 key, I haven't really implemented it yet. I know that I believe that BitFocus Companion also has sort of some presets for ProPresenter already, but I have not implemented them into my Stream Deck. Now I use the Stream Deck a lot, but I have not implemented its. Hold on, I'm going to try and launch my GUI here. See if I can load it up here.
Great, and I'll just, while you're looking for that, I will just remind everybody, we have about 15 minutes left, so if you have those last-minute questions, a couple have just come in from Facebook, get them in now. We'll try to get to as many as we can. We've got a couple in the queue, but if you have any last-minute questions, please get them in so that we can get to them. We will be wrapping at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, but we'll be back next week with something else, and we'll tell you all about it in a few minutes.
All right, so I haven't set this up yet, but this is certainly something worth examining, and that is setting up the ProPresenter integration in BitFocus Companion. I don't believe Stream Deck has their own presets yet, but you would have to put in the IP address and stuff like that. And actually, let me cut back here, and you can sort of set in ProPresenter whether or not network control is enabled, which enable ProPresenter Remote, or enable the Stage app, because there is also a Stage app that you can run on an iPad for that stage display. So your talent doesn't have to have a downstage monitor. They could just have an iPad running the Stage app next to them and be able to see that. Or your, extra guys in the truck, could have that running. So the network controls can be enabled. I've used it on the iPad remote, and I love that, especially with the newer iPad Air. But yeah, I'm still trying to see exactly. I think the best Stream Deck implementation would just be load one of the playlists, right? So like one Q deck, and then a next button. If you build your show that way, right? So I could have different, load the next one here, or what a lot of times people do is they'll have like, here's Happy that we did the lyrics to earlier. So you'd have that separate. So have a button on the Stream Deck for that, and then underneath it have a next or a back button. That would be one. And then also being able to assign a Stream Deck button for the different music. I think that would be really cool too. But alas, it's not there yet.
Great. Sean Michelson Newman asks us also lower third content, autofill, names, titles. Is there a way to do that?
I know what he's asking. I have not found a way to autofill like from a CSV or a Excel like you would in something like Blue Titler or some of the other titling programs. However, if you do set up your template in a lower third, if you saw me import the text from clipboard, you could set it to delimitate every 2 lines. So if you had set up a text in clipboard with name and title, name and title, name and title, name and title, and then you had loaded a template where you had set the name or the first line and the second line to be lined up where you wanted, over where lower third normally could, then what you could do is actually, let's imagine that these lyrics to Happy were a name and title. Then I could load in another slide. Let's just add a new slide, move it to the beginning. If I made it a background slide and had preloaded, let's say, my PNG of what the lower third was going to look like. So imagine if it was, I'm going to take this one. Take that back to, and where did I put it? Might seem crazy. There we go. All right, so let me paste this one in. Now, because this is a foreground, let me see if I can change this to be background. And I don't know if this one will let me. So this is going to change right now. But imagine if I had saved a background that was a PNG in that lower spot, and then I could preload in the names and titles and separate them by lines. And if I had the right template, when these came in, these were on a template that put them in a box in the center. I could adjust it to be a down in the lower third location. So that might be a quick way you could load up a bunch of speakers into a lower third. I feel like a batch in Photoshop to transparent PNG might be easier, but I don't know for sure. So that's a good that's a good question. And I hope what you realize I'm doing is I'm trying to show you that the tools are there, and the way you use it almost anything is possible. And that's kind of how Renewed Vision has built their product, right? There's no strict answer as to how someone uses it. It's very flexible, and you can, I've seen people do some even more amazing stuff with it that I never thought possible. So we'll give that a try.
Great. Before I want to make sure I get back to John. I think, John, you had a question earlier.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could replicate it, but can I do a quick screen share?
Oh, absolutely.
Of course, this will be the doctor's in, and it's going to work perfectly. So you see what I have here. So I'll go to input 1.
Look at that.
Input 2. And then what happens, see, my hand gets delayed. Do you have any idea why? And then every once in a while, we'll go back into sync.
Yeah.
I'll stop the screen share because you don't need to look at me.
Now, were those both NDI ends or USB captures?
They were both my USB right now.
USB capture.
Actually, I think one of them, USB. One of them is my ATEM and the one switcher, and it's the one camera HDMI ATEM and the USB from the same camera. So that's the exact same camera.
Okay. And are you on a PC or a Mac?
PC never touches these hands since the last 10 years.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So I've run into some of those problems with the multiple ends, and that is why I generally use my ProPresenter for output. I've had good luck with sync on inputs, of single inputs, I mean. But when I've layered multiple inputs, I have run into problems. The other thing I've noticed sometimes is it seems to be if I had done something else with a USB bus prior to it, I've needed to restart and restart the Mac, not restart just ProPresenter. So
It's sort of strange.
That's why
when I first asked to speak, it was doing it constantly, and then when Ed said, "I'm going to come back to you," I did the test, and it was in perfect sync. So luckily, in between that, it went out of sync.
Yeah, it's something to do with how they're processing it. I think that their video input function right now was really meant for them to take like an external switcher and bring that in and use ProPresenter for the graphics overlay. I don't think it's on par with any kind of vision mixer at all right now. I would not consider ProPresenter that at all. To me, it is my media playback. It is my cue and sound and media playback machine. And I want to be really clear on that. It is possible, and I've tried to use it for other unique things, but just what I found is just because it's possible doesn't mean it works quite as smoothly as you would think. Is my sync out as well now?
No, that was just John's when he was just
okay
demonstrating what was going wrong.
Yeah,
and you're muted, John. If you're trying to
we can't hear you now, John, but I see it. So now it looks like the input and the other one.
I think I know how to
better in sync.
Yeah, and now it starts going
and now
out.
It's off again. Yep.
Okay. It had been so cool if it would have worked.
I know. It does so many cool things, but through testing, I've kind of just come to rely on it to do what it does really well. And understand that many video inputs is brand new to it. It didn't used to have that. That is not its core business and what it's tried to do.
I'm looking at the bottom of their product page, and it's a long product page too, of features that they're super proud of. But then they have a section that says beyond the app, and that's where streaming is and mobile integration. And it's like you just threw those features outside like the core competency of the app, literally by their own description. So, yeah.
Yep. It's a really cool company. I like supporting them because they listen to their clients. They're always quick to try and implement new things. They have ProVideo player, which I thought was extremely powerful as a media server. It seems to have fallen off a little bit lately. They haven't updated it in a little bit. And then they came out with a scoreboard app that was really targeted at colleges, universities, and high schools that sort of took their graphic power and turned it into an easy to use and updatable scoring app. So I've been following that. We almost bought it, but then we stopped doing sports production. But overall, a decent company, a great user base. And usually if you're trying to figure out something, you can find someone that can help you.
Great. Did we have another question, Omar?
Yeah, sorry. So there's one more question up here I want to leave us with before we end the night here. We're about 2 minutes out, but Fred Jones had asked, are there themes or prepackaged looks and effects from third-party vendors that you prefer? Have you shown us any needle drop items today?
So there are companies out there that make sort of pre-made looks, I think, for ProPresenter. 90% of them are going to be worship lyrics presets. That is kind of their core market for that type of thing. And I actually have turned off, I don't know if you saw it in one of the times when I went to preferences, I've actually turned off to display House of Worship integrations. So they do recognize that Pro are using this more and more, and they allowed us to turn this off. If I were to turn it on, what it does is it ties into like the ASCAP and BMI, and when you load a song, you can pull lyrics directly from their database, and it'll automatically attach copyright. You can put your CCLI license number in there, and it'll make sure you're covered for copyright for songs, and then allows them to pull up something like scripture references and stuff like that. So I generally leave that off. But yeah, there aren't many people just making a lot of preset looks like what we have now for OBS, right? There's guys creating these great templates, and you can get all kinds of templates to preload into your OBS or After Effects templates. I tend to use those more than try to look for anything built for ProPresenter, because most of the time those are going to be lyric layouts for songs.
That's great. Chuck, thank you so much. This was extremely informative. I think, you showed us a whole bunch of things that ProPresenter can do, and it blows my mind because I didn't realize it does as much as it does. Like I said, I've had some superficial working alongside it, and it's a whole lot of program for not a lot of money. So that's pretty cool. And it really has a footing in House of Worship, but it can absolutely be used in other settings. Theater, for example, as you said, you've done it in corporate for overlay stuff. And your workflows where you're also using hardware switchers is pretty interesting. So thank you so much. I think everybody on the panel can agree that it was a pretty good demonstration of what this thing can do. So thank you.
Yeah. I just want to throw in there's some positive vibes coming from the community too about the presentation. So early on, we had a user, Geoff Robes, was saying, I use I use PPPi for a few years, and I've been using PP7 since just after it came out last year. It's always nice to learn from other users. Thanks for showing me the video inspector. I had no idea I could queue videos, start and end points. Another one was from Robert Mangillo. Thanks, Chuck, and thanks, AV Educate. Always great information to share here. See you next week. I see the chat's blowing up right now as I'm reading these out. But Richard Bright said, thanks, Chuck. Thanks always to the guys. Lars Svensson, I'm not sure I'm saying that right. Thanks, guys. Time to sleep. See you next time. Have a great day off. Fred Jones, great info. Zach Swartz, thank you. Chuck Walls and Ed Wallach. Thanks everyone for the great show from Fred Jones. A couple ones. Another one from Fred Jones, just thanking you, AV Trainers, for a couple of good thoughts. So I just wanted to know, Chuck, man, you did fantastic. I thought within the first hour, you definitely killed it. You nailed information. You got it out. You were slow and precise with your thought process. You definitely paused enough for us to really get in there. I love that you divided into chunks for us. So it made it easy to go back and forth with the community. I mean, this was fantastic. I've learned, just like these guys, there's a couple. I mean, I've used ProVideo Player more, PVP, for projection blending and mapping and like, 10,000 square foot arenas and blending stuff for like different places. But I'm very impressed to see what more the software does, because just like Ed said, I was, even like I said, right, I was skimming the basics of it, and apparently it does way more things than I thought of. And the way you executed it and showed it and was able to just show us your workflow was amazing, and I really appreciate that tonight, man.
Yeah, happy to be here, guys, and I love the content you guys put out, and I'm proud to be able to actually contribute. So thank you for having me.
Now, Chuck, I do also want to share with our audience, and I'll post this link over in both places, your ATG escape rooms. Do you want to just give us a real quick?
I will. So yeah, I do double duty a lot. So we have an events company, and a couple years ago, one of the biggest reasons why I use tools like ProVideo Player or ProPresenter is we're all about the value add for our clients. And a couple years ago, we decided to work on starting escape rooms for our corporate clients, so that when they're in town and we're running their AV for a big conference, we could have them come over and we could take a group of 50 at a time and play an escape room. Of course, COVID happened, all that shut down, and we decided to, well, at first we were just started doing virtual events, and then we decided to take some PPP loan money and grants and invest in online escape rooms. So sorry, I just bumped something. So what we ended up doing is actually licensing some of these virtual escape rooms. So now and of course, because we're an events company, we decided to scale it. So not only can you book these fun online escape rooms for your family, it works really great for families that are separated by distance. We have families where grandma and grandpa are back east and kids are out here in California. We've had groups as large as 200. And my game masters come into Zoom and we divide them up into breakout rooms and groups of 5 all play. It's a browser-based experience. So it's not some guy going around our rooms with a GoPro on his head. They're actual developed browser-based escape room experiences. Timeline, CIA, and Framed are all sort of your own little instance, and you have to communicate. Stanley's Room and Stanley's Room 2, which is soon to be launched, are sort of shared browser experiences. So you all open your own browser, but you can see each other's mouse moving around. So it's a really collaborative, really kind of team building experience. And thank you, Ed, for shouting it out. ATG Escape Rooms stands for Above the Game, and you're welcome to check it out. If you go to the escape rooms and online rooms, you can check out sort of a demo video on how they play, and even trailers for some of the games. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I missed out on the one that Leland had invited me to on New Year's. I didn't see the link. I saw the Happy New Year's and welcoming me to a party, but I missed where the link was, so I didn't get to enjoy it. But I look forward to hopefully getting on one in the future. Maybe we'll do an AV Tech Talks group one. We'll put something in the Discord when we get that put together for sure.
Sure. And we couldn't broadcast it just because we don't want the puzzles out there. But what we might be able to do is even offer all the AV Educate listeners a discount code to go and book one, or we could schedule one where listeners are welcome join us and play with their favorite AV Educate folks. So,
yeah, that'd be cool. I think that'd be great. Like get the panel together and get some of our viewers.
I'll
That
be
would be a lot of
there.
fun.
I think it would be cool if each of us broke up into our own breakout room, and then our listeners and watchers could come in and choose which one they wanted to join, and that group plays an escape room together.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. We're gonna set this up. We're gonna figure out how to do this and get it to make sense. And we'll put the information on the Discord. I just shared the links for AV Educate, the page, the group, our Discord, and our joining the webinar. So you guys will have that in the chat on Facebook. And again, thank you, Chuck. I posted the link for your escape rooms as well. So guys, check that out for us. It sounded like a lot of fun. I talked to a bunch of people who were on the other one, and it sounds like a lot of fun. I can't wait to do this.
Awesome.
I'm going to post the link right now to next week's AV Tech Talk event page. Next week, we are looking at automating Zoom with Qlab and Apple scripts. That'll be Andy Dolph will be joining us to lead us on that talk. So that should be a really cool one. It might get a little nerdy, but hey, the nerdier the better. If you know anything about Apple scripts, come join us, ask your questions. And if you don't know anything about Apple scripts, even better, come ask your questions. We'll dive into that, and he's going to show us some of his workflows. Omar, what do you have this week on the podcast coming up?
Yeah, so this week on the podcast on Wednesday night, we got coming up Ruth Ann Harris from Feed the Crew. We're going to do a talk about the industry in general and like where it's at, where it's been, where it's going, what we're hoping is going on and happening in the future, and just do a talk about what she's doing, what we're doing, and how we're collabing to kind of bring this information to you guys and continue that forward for the next couple of years to come, and really just help motivate guys to kind of get back into it, especially with a lot of the new mergers going on. I won't say any names, but some of the mergers that are going on right now and how that can be beneficial to some of you. I know some people see the cons of everything going on, but we try to spin a bright light on everything and make it positive for the crew out there and for everybody who's watching and listening that, listen, things are coming back. It's slow, but hybrid is becoming more and more relevant. Virtual is still a thing for another year. A lot of companies are still struggling, but they're coming back and people are getting the calls. So we're going to bring some of that to light and kind of get it out there. And hopefully you guys are hustling and bustling like you've been doing. And these talks are helping you guys out and getting you forward and getting you work and moving things along.
Great. I'm gonna tune in. I actually don't have work this Wednesday, so I'm definitely gonna tune in for that chat. And then Chris, can you give us a little update on what you have going on with your charity work?
As always, yeah, I think we're down. I think we're only like, I want to say $75 away from our first switch to donate to the kids this year. And we haven't done anything for Extra Life yet, but that's okay. I have a charity stream actually set to go second Saturday in February is going to be the first charity stream for Extra Life. If anybody doesn't know, what I do is I stream 4 charities. I take no money, no anything from my stream itself. Any personal donations sent to me are used to buy switches for the kids at my local hospital. And then I stream for a charity called Extra Life. Everything donated to Extra Life goes to those local hospitals to help those parents and kids and everything out with their bills and everything else that's needed in the hospital for those kids. So I do greatly appreciate every single one of you. I do see all of you that come to my stream. I do see every single one of you that follow me. I see every single one of you that are there, and I greatly appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown me over this time.
Great, Chris. It's a great thing you're doing, man. And I'm glad that we can bring it up here, and I hope Chris just posted the link. Everyone just head on over there, and if you can do something, great. If not, just make sure you say hello when he's pew-pewing or whatever he does with his gaming.
Been a lot of RTS, which is real-time strategy gaming lately, so it's not been a lot of pew-pew. It's easier to follow along, and a lot of people can actually use their brains while watching.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Good. I'll actually have to tune in one of these nights. I just came off of 2 hard weeks of working, so I'm looking for. I would have actually liked pew-pewing because I want to just turn my brain off for a little bit, but I'll definitely come check that out. Jeff Widgren too is the admin of the Zoom Test Kitchen. I'm one of the admins over there. Tomorrow the Test Kitchen will be open at 3:00. So he just mentioned that and posted there's a link to where you can join on the Facebook side. And Jeff, if maybe you want to put that link here in the Zoom, that'd be great as well. And with that, I just want to thank our panel as always for being here. Thanks for all the great questions. I'd love to hear some reactions to ProPresenter, especially if you haven't used it before. Iris, do you have anything that I saw you unmute, so I was coming right to you.
Yeah, no, I actually like the fact that there's a program that isn't just for Mac. I'm seeing so much lately that everything's for Mac, not just for this, but some other production stuff as well. And it's nice that there's actually stuff out there for those of us who don't use Mac.
Yeah, that is a good, a great selling point, and I think that's part of its popularity, especially in the church, the house of worship world, because you can generally get a PC for a bit cheaper than you can get a Mac, and people just have that. There's less of that learning curve. So yeah, no, that is a great point, and I'm glad Chuck was able to show us both that they pretty much both look similar, so you wouldn't have a lot of learning curve going from one platform to the other. How about you, Disa? What are your reactions?
It's actually really exciting to see how far we've come from overhead projectors and transparent sheets from when I used to help a church with their audio visual. So thanks so much, Chuck.
Oh gosh, I remember those carousels of slides that they would always bring in, and having to replace the lamp on the overhead projector and try not to drop that glass.
Shining it on the wall.
And your carousel getting stuck.
Like pull the air wall so you have a nice white surface.
Yeah, it has come quite a long way. And even ProPresenter has come so far from ProPresenter 3 and 4. It's just amazing.
Absolutely. Great. Does anyone else have anything before we sign off? Anybody else want to weigh in on what we just went through? 'Cause we had a lot of great questions. Thank you guys. And if there's nothing else, then we're a little over time. We were shooting for the 9 o'clock. We'll get out of here by 9:15. But thank you guys. We hope to see you next week on AV Tech Talks presented by AV Educate. And before we go, too, I want to just take a second to thank the DVE store for their continued support. Guy Cochran and his team are great. They can help you with all of your AV equipment needs. So if you can go visit them at dvestore.com, I'll post that link for you guys right now. Check them out. They've been a longtime supporter of AV Tech Talks, and we really appreciate all they do for us. So thank you guys at DVE Store. And with that, I will say good night to Facebook. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week. Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. So have a great night. Thanks.